Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to see everyone made it to day 4 of CAN, or for some people, day 5, 6, or 7. So thank you for joining us. Excited to be joined by Stacy Patterson and Michelle Froah. We're just going to jump right into it. We're here today to talk a little bit about brand transformation as catalyst for business transformation. So yeah, I guess just kind of like start things off. Stacy, why don't you tell us a little bit about Code and Theory?
Code and Theory is an agency that sits at the intersection of creativity and technology, we like to say. We actually have a unique makeup, 50% engineers and 50% creatives, although as we've seen throughout the week here, everyone is a creative. But the 50% engineer piece is very interesting and fascinating. We've been fortunate to partner with ETS for the last year or so, working on this rebrand.
Great. And Michelle, can you tell us a little about ETS?
Sure, I'd love to. So ETS is a very historical brand. It's been around 75 years, rooted in educational testing. So you may know some of our historic brands like the TOEFL exam or GRE, but we are now an education and talent solution organization that really enables lifelong learners to be future ready. So we're excited about this rebrand and this business and brand transformation. In fact, we have a wonderful intro video that we'd love to share with you because I think it can tell the story that Stacy and I then can build on. So maybe we can roll that.
In an age where change is the only constant, how do you assess the talent of tomorrow? For 75 years, ETS has been the world's leading assessment company. Today, we usher in a new era of human progress. We're elevating our groundbreaking research from the footnotes to be the source that builds the new benchmarks for education and talent solutions worldwide. More than ever, we're committed to measuring progress to power humanity, promoting skill proficiency, upward mobility, and opportunities for all. Tomorrow's assessments will not only show what people know, but measure skills that deeply define the individual, who they are, how they learn, and who they have the potential to become. For every student, professor, and institution navigating education, we are the compass that guides. For every candidate and employer seeking their stars, we are the constellation that connects the dots. And for every government, association, and organization looking to power the talent of tomorrow, we are the engine that drives them forward. With you, ETS stands committed to advancing the science of measurement so that together, we can realize the future of human progress.
Awesome.
I still get inspired every time
I know.
listen to that.
I know. I still get goosebumps, honestly.
I mean, so it's a 75-year-old company, and I would have to imagine that going through a relaunch is certainly no small task or easy undertaking. So can you tell us a little more about the strategy and the mission behind it?
Yeah, so, ETS is a nonprofit, and so we do have a very strong mission, which is to provide fair and valid assessments. But we had to, really think about redefining the category that we play in because we need a business transformation because lifelong learning doesn't end at education, right? And so we really aimed to think about the strategic vision that the business needed to take and then build a brand to meet that vision. And so, stemming off of that very strong mission that we have, we created a brand promise that's all about advancing the science of measurement to power human progress. And, there's a lot, I think, in that statement that's really powerful and impactful and drives our whole organization to rally behind that. And the reason I do get goosebumps is because, honestly, we enrolled the organization in something that is core to what we believe and what we deliver. And that science of measurement, to really measure not just what people know, but what people can show that they can do. So a real skills measurement, which, it's been hard to measure that in the past. And the advancement part really is about, providing the source and elevating that source from the footnotes up to the top, and really bringing our groundbreaking research to life. And I think when all of those things come together with our brand promise, we're aiming for some outcomes in the world. First and foremost, it's to build skill proficiency with people, to help drive upward mobility, and to help unlock opportunities for all. So it's been a powerful strategy come to life in execution that everyone has gotten behind.
And if I can build on that for a second, just from my vantage point, it's been thrilling to partner with ETS on this work. So much of what we do as brand thinkers and brand strategists and creatives is to get behind brands that are challengers in their category, and that work involves setting who is the enemy that we're fighting against. And I love with this, in moving to a new category, is that we actually aren't putting ourselves in that box. And throughout this whole year, the thinking was never put in a box, and then it was about how do we break through this constraint. It really was, there is no box. We can use our full imagination to where the ETS innovations will go, and the stories that it needs to tell, and the people that it needs to resonate with and be relevant for and be useful for. And it's been just really an unlock and sort of a career milestone for many people on the team, because it's not so often that you actually get to do that in working in the industry that we work in. And it usually is about saying why XYZ brand is better than ABC brand. And in this case, it really was, we're creating something for the world. It's almost a new way of thinking about how we bring this brand to life. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Stacy, that I forgot to talk about, because the category that we were in really was educational testing, right? And to redefine the category, we had to think of that new white space, and it's really helping people be future ready, helping people adapt and thrive in a changing world, because that world is not static, right? And the kinds of skills that people need to be successful and unlock those potentials are continuing to change, and therefore the measurement of how we do that needs to continue to change.
Amazing. So let's kind of stick on that topic of, ETS is known for education. So what I'd love to really kind of talk more about is, you mentioned that business transformation is brand transformation. I guess the question I'd like to pose to you both is, how can that concept inspire other CMOs and help with a big reimagining, right, of their current business and what their brand is and what their brand means? And I guess it'd be great to hear from both ETS's side and then from the agency purview, because obviously you're a stakeholder in that as well. And how does that all kind of work together to reimagine something as big as that?
Well, I think the first part was that internally, when it's a business transformation and not just a brand transformation, right? You never want to be the CMO that comes in and just changes the logo. That's not fulfilling, and that's not exciting. You need real buy-in from the entire organization on what is your value proposition. Why do you need a business transformation and a brand transformation? And it's a lot of what we were just talking about, the competitive set is new, redefining that category. And along the way, even though it was a very short process, I've done this before, and I don't think I've ever
Accelerated.
done it. Accelerated.
Accelerated.
Yes, that's right. And I wasn't short; it was accelerated. You're right. But it was more like, less than 9 months. And that took the enrollment and engagement of all the key stakeholders across our whole organization. So everyone on our lead team, from the CEO to the CFO, the CIO, CHRO, our head of research, our head of businesses, to all be involved. And so the end product really was and is something that we're all proud of and aligned to, because it defines the kind of business that we need to be now, and therefore the brand that we're aspiring to be to meet that vision. And I think if we would have just started with, we need a new logo and we need some new colors, it could have gone anywhere and not had that buy-in. And so I think that was deeply, deeply important.
Yeah, and I think that those stakeholder groups that you mentioned are really, really important in this. As an agency, and by the way, I'll give a shameless plug. We just, for the first time, A-listed Agency of the Year in business transformation. And so we work on this a lot. I'm not sure how many people in the room are experiencing this. I'm sure we're all feeling it to a certain extent, but a lot of the clients that we partner with are now more than ever receiving real business pressures and facing real accountability towards their organization's growth, to launching new markets, to even innovation, which I'm sure we'll speak about as well, because that's in Michelle's remit. And so really getting more core to the business model is a challenge that we see a lot. That's a pattern that's just happening. I started in marketing when people just used to compare their cost centers, and that's how you knew you were successful. But I think what's unique about the work with ETS and what made it an additional challenge is that you really have, it's not just that you're core to one business model. You have really 3 or 4 business models in one. And so for us, as the creative partner, just being able to immerse ourselves in the economic dynamics of those many different moving parts and understand that whole system and bring to life a brand that really is going to work in that system was a big challenge, but a really thrilling, like I said, ride for us to be on.
That's a great point, Stacy. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that was the other enrollment piece, with the organization that we needed to have. This was a complex brand transformation because the business is complex. And so this isn't like one set of consumers or one set of customers. We have a complex portfolio of a whole group of what I would say business to the world, right? We have investors, philanthropists that want to invest in our research and invest in what we're doing. We have a B2B arm that is not just one set of customers. It's supplying solutions to governments, to credentialing organizations, and to employers. And then we have more of a B2C model, if you will. Still goes B to I to C, so through institutions or employers, but more of a independent brand, if you will, but still needs to all be held together as an ETS portfolio. And so that's what was really key, was getting that brand promise central to all of our offerings, yet having the ability to customize our messages and our executions to all those different constituents.
So I guess the next logical question would really be, how did you balance this transformation with the existing culture of ETS and staying true to the roots of the brand? Because obviously I think you never want to mess with what's been working for 75 years, yet at the same time having that balance to grow and transform. And how did the whole partnership work together for that?
I can start, but I'm sure we have lots of things to talk about with our partnership because it's been amazing. I would say the journey that we've been on, like we said, was business transformation to brand transformation and now innovation transformation, right, to bring it all to life. And what's core to us is true in all 3 of those transformation journeys. And it really is being able to measure what typically can't be measured. So this science of measurement, right? And now moving from not just measuring cognitive abilities and what you know, but measuring real skills. And so when I say skills, I mean in a couple of different ways. Could be certifications or licenses for a certain skilled area, or a more technical skill, but also durable skills. And I say durable because they're not soft, they're not just, fluffy things. They're actually skills you need throughout your career and throughout your life. In fact, they're really human skills. So things like collaboration or creative thinking or resiliency. These are skills that we can measure now, and we use a lot of AI to help us do that. And we're really advancing that science of measurement, and so that's our historical, truth of our special sauce of what we do. And now we're just applying that in new and more innovative ways.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about and inspired by the innovations, not only that you have in market now, but that your team is working on all week this week. Think about if we one day have an invisible credentialing system that is able to assess ability to think on your feet in a conversation. How great would that be to have at a place like this? I've been in so many conversations where I'm like, man, I should be getting some points with my ETS meter right now. But I think, how many people in this room, raise your hand if you've ever worked with a psychometrician closely before? That's right, no one.
Yeah. No.
I think it's.
I have.
I think it's important to highlight that this is a brand that's had a long heritage of having real science that is powering all of these innovations. And one really turning point for me in this process was hearing someone in Michelle's team say, Stacy, when our psychometricians show up at these global conferences that they go to, it's like Kim Kardashian walked in the building. And it was just something that it gave me an ability to empathize with the position that they're in, because we really had to work to make that cool, but also substantive of what the work is that they actually do. And I think the story Michelle told about the symbol, I know it's a story about, at the end of the day, a logo, but it really does mean something to have what is formerly the footnote that we as creatives, usually may or may not pay attention to the source materials or the source research of what's behind the decisions we make creatively. But I do think that that's a really important story to tell here, because it gave the gravitas to what's powering those innovations. It gave them sort of the credibility that they deserved, and some of the fame as well. And so it's woven into the brand, which I really love. We're gonna get the source tattooed later together. So if anyone would like to join us in that, we invite you all. It's a powerful message.
It is, yeah. And I think to build on your question too, with some of the other areas of collaboration, right? It was activating this powerful brand promise beyond the visual. Of course, the visual identity. I mean, we love this so much that we are going to get tattoos. We're committed in that, Stacy and I. But it has so much meaning behind it, especially for our brand outcomes. But then it took a lot of collaboration to say, well, how do we show up in similar places but in new ways, and really engage and surprise our current customers and new customers that we're going after. So our whole launch plan that we collaborated on was with some splash media that we did with the New York Times.
You should talk about Wordle.
I know. We took over a little Wordle. If anyone play, I think it's over, so we can say what the Wordle was. I'm pretty sure all of the media is over.
It's a contentious thing that you just said there.
I know. But the Wordle was skill. And that was really fun activation to do, very creative, got people engaged in this really important topic. But then we took it to our website, which Code and Theory also helped us to relaunch. And I have to say, first of all, people who have gone on our website have actually told me, wow, your website's really sexy. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool for education and talent solutions. We'll take it. But it is. It's really engaging. And it's, again, one place where this huge set of customer base has to come and figure out how to navigate. And we've made the navigation easier, more informative. We're generating more leads. And we're delivering new and thoughtful content. But the other thing that we're really proud of in our collaboration is that we improved the accessibility, as an example, of our website. On the Google Lighthouse, it's Lighthouse, right? Yeah, Google Lighthouse score, we got near 100, which is pretty extraordinary. We did that with collaborating between our accessibilities team, and they've been incredibly proud of the work, but also that we can push that in kind of new directions.
Yeah, and I just to build on that too, one thing that we've reflected on as a team at Code and Theory is that ETS, that you have an accessibility team, first of all, but ETS really had accessibility built in from the start throughout this project together. I know I always feel funny saying something's a project when it's really your whole
movement.
Together. But ETS really had accessibility built in as a priority from the start, and for us that was so meaningful. We do a lot of websites, and that's not always the case. And I think the reason why we've gotten near 100 with this one, which is the highest, by the way, that Code and Theory has ever worked on, is because that was such a strong pillar of everything that we wanted to do, and that was made clear to everyone throughout this whole process.
Amazing. And just kind of observing up here, just as a quick little aside, I've just noticed that there's like a really great rapport between the two of you, and like really talking about this. You could tell that both of you are so passionate about this rebrand. Can we just talk a little bit about, I think, like more of like the human element of this? So how did you create such a great partnership that to the point that you feel the need to go get matching tattoos because you went on this experience together? I just think that sometimes we kind of overlook that in this process, and I just want to talk a little bit more about that because, again, I think the dynamic between the two of you is really showing why this is a successful rebrand, because it really does take people to move that forward. So just a little curious about that.
I mean, I'll just say from the agency perspective, we kind of joked about the accelerated timeline, but kudos to Michelle for really drawing that line in the sand and having that vision. I do think, I maybe didn't say this at the start in the first couple of months where I was like, oh, this is impossible. But I really do think that her, putting that charge out to us, it made it so that we had to get close very quickly, and we had to really build trust so that we could move at that pace. I was a track athlete in college, and as many times as Michelle and I would be in a room, I always had my coach in the back of my mind. When we would do a tempo workout, he would say, you have to run uncomfortably hard. This has to be uncomfortably hard. And I had uncomfortably hard stuck in my mind, but Michelle really was the one who catalyzed that for both teams. And so I really, I thank you in retrospect
You're so sweet.
for putting that challenge out there. But I think we did a pretty good job with it, and it was because we had that extremely accelerated ambition.
Well, it's funny now that I'm thinking about it. It was last year this time that I had a conversation with Treff and Brent Button, and we talked about what we could do together, how we could partner, and I did put that accelerated timeline out there of like what my ambition was to help, to rebrand this brand, and we made it happen weeks after Cannes last year. And to Stacy's point, it really had to be like we were all bought in to having a timeline. We had a board meeting in October that was part of our timeline to be able to sell this whole business and brand transformation in. And that didn't give us very much time from July to October to gel as a team, align on the brand strategy, get to execution. And it took lots of conversations, but I also think a lot of trust with each other, to knowing how important this was, and knowing that we could count on each other, even though we may have not 100% been able to see the path forward. and really, trying to engage all of these stakeholders along the way and be open to the feedback. And so I think, for me, I've actually been on both sides. I've been on the agency side. I've been on the client side a lot longer. I feel like we have a responsibility to be a good client sometimes. So I knew what I was asking for was aggressive, but not unreasonable if we trusted each other and partnered together. And I think having open lines of communication, especially when we hit some rough patches, was really critical.
Yeah, no, I will say that Michelle also has that level of trust with her CEO, which helps.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
She was brought along for the ride. I will say, I hope I can say this, I'm not giving away any secrets, much more often than would be typical with some of our other client partners. And I think that trust also cascaded throughout the team, where we really were iterating the way forward. And this is, Code and Theory has digital product roots, so this is really our preferred way to work. We're definitely people who like to become obsessed with the problem we're solving for, not the solution that we bring to the table. And I think when you are too married to the solution, that's when it does become, okay, we need to set a date to review and then take the feedback, but in the background, we're all still really wanting this one thing. That was not the case with this work at all. We really,
it was very iterative. Yeah, and very open to feedback. I mean, and sometimes we got feedback. We got feedback from the researchers, in our group, from the tech group, from all parts of marketing. Like, we did a lot of internal focus groups, external focus groups, and I honestly, I was amazed at how much we took that in, and also how much everyone cared about the purpose. That whole purpose to power human progress is something that, I don't know, it's fulfilling, and we didn't want to mess it up. And so I'm super proud of the work the team's done.
Amazing. Yeah, just again, I think the way that you both talk about it, it really does seem like it was a very successful partnership and continues to be a successful partnership. And I think that's like a really big takeaway, is how you had everybody get bought into the process and what the vision was, and I think that's a testament to the work and the collaboration. So it's really great to hear. I know we're almost at time, so I guess before we go, is there any other insight you want to provide to the audience that they can action right away from both of your purviews, with just something that we can take away from Cannes that they can action right now?
I mean, one thing that is really meaningful, it's not a measured KPI from this work, but that I'm realizing as we're here and we're getting, just inundated with all these different stakeholder groups and different people with really, really wonderful perspectives. One thing that was very apparent during this work, and maybe it's a known thing, but the world of academia and higher education usually has an allergic reaction when the topic of brand is brought up. And so one thing that was really meaningful to me throughout this process and after this launch is I have a social psychology friend that's been teaching at Columbia for many years and is on the trustee board, who texted me after seeing the New York Times takeover and then went to the website and said, wow, I've never felt so proud about what I do before seeing this brand. So I think my takeaway from that, and also from here, is to understand, yes, there's stakeholders in all of the work that we do that needs to resonate with, but also to think about, what's the second, third, fourth order externality of the work that we're all doing, and maybe can we plan for that, and by doing that, by thinking that far out, we bring everyone along.
I love that, and I would say my answer to your question, and we've had such rich conversations here over the past 4 or 5 days, and one of the pieces that is sticking with me is I am so glad that my role has the remit that it does. It's not. I don't just have marketing and marketing in this space. I have end-to-end marketing that all needs to work together, and innovation. And when you think about how your brand can help transform not only the business models that you have, but the innovation that you need to deliver, I think that's the power that we have in organizations when we don't narrow our focus, and when we really think about how much, how important what we're focusing on and bringing real solutions to customers can have that impact, either in your business, in the world, and frankly on your teams. And so I think we should keep that in front of us too, that there's creativity that we can bring to a lot of problems, and it's not just the actual advertising execution. It's across that whole spectrum that we can impact.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much for the conversation. This was extremely enlightening. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your time at Cannes.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.